So this is going to be the best week in the history of the planet.
I agree. Well, I mean, ultimately, who gets to decide that?
It's our choice. And I've decided that this is going to be the most productive, most profitable, most fun week I've ever had in my life. And you know what? Might as well make it happen. And how are we going to do that? By controlling our time and saying no and working on things the right way, the way that you want to work on things. And that's one of the things I want to make sure we hit today is I want to really, really, really dive in. And I want some interaction on this, guys. I want you guys to chime in and talk about what you're doing and how we can tweak things. Because here's what I see, and I'm guilty of it too, and we all are. Our time is our most valuable asset on the planet. It's the only thing we can control. And it's the most precious thing that we have too, because once you waste a minute, you never get it back, right? And so, and a lot of people waste our time. And we have to be very cognizant of that and know that some of it, yes, it's part of the business, but it doesn't have to be a big part of the business. And I think it's a way bigger part of many people's business than it needs to be. And I don't care if you're a super top producer or not, but we can all get better. So I want to talk about that for a little bit and the importance of it, because that's the number one thing that leaves potential trapped in, right?
Well, it's such an easy trap to fall into, right? I mean, I sat here and listened to you and Craig for 3 years talk about the importance of pre-qualification, the importance of the 3 questions, the importance of not putting someone in your car and driving them all over the place, right? And fully agreed with that sentiment. And then get my license, and one of the first mistakes I made was going from the beach to Bradenton to all over. Right now, they were pre-qualified, but they had no idea. And what would have been so much smarter, which I now make sure I do, was either referring them out or hopping on a Zoom like we are right now and doing it virtually and having those discussions, right? But it was so hard for me to say no because I was so eager to learn the process of what an agent went through since I hadn't physically done it, that I was like, you know what? I'll do it. And then you look at it, and if you're looking at it from a monetary standpoint, you're sitting there in your head going, well, you know what? It's worth $9,500 on average, right? So why not, right? It's $9,500. If someone came to me and said, hey, for $9,500, would you drive to Bradenton and back? I'm like, yeah, sure, right? So that goes through your head, and it's what happens is it becomes easy to logically justify to yourself why you're doing it. What you're not calculating, and what I didn't calculate, was the opportunity cost that you're also giving up, right? And would that time have been better used to hop on a Zoom and get it done in 5 minutes so that you would have had more time to go prospect and get another deal in your pipeline? Or would it have made more sense to say, you know what, you really want to be in Bradenton? Great. We have an office down in Sarasota, so I know we have some great agents that work Bradenton. Let me refer you out to Martin over there and let Martin go take care of it. Take 30 or 40% of the deal and move on to the next, right? So those are things that are very, very obvious on the surface, hard sometimes to execute, and I think especially hard to execute if you're a new agent and you're just trying to do everything you can to prove to yourself that you can do this and build confidence and build some business, right? It's an easy trap to fall into. I did it.
Well, let's go a little. This might hurt a little bit.
Why did I bring this up?
But let's go to the root of what this is, because it's greed driven, and it ends up making, and this isn't just you, right? I've done it. Every one of us has done it, and it makes us look dumb, right? It makes you look like you don't know what the hell you're doing. And I've done it too, right? Because it seems like, yeah, I got a buyer I want to buy in the $500,000, $600,000 range. Hell yeah, baby. I'll spend all week on them. I'll drive all over the state for that. $9,000 a week times 50, we have 400 grand a year. Hell yeah. Jump in, baby. Let's go. I'll pretend I know what the hell's going on in Lakewood Ranch and then Ozona And hell yeah, Cedar Key, why not? You want to go to St. Augustine? Jump in, baby. I'll buy you lunch, right? And it's a trap that we can fall into. But let's go outside the industry for a little while because I like doing that. So let's say that I don't feel well and I need to go to the doctor. And I go to the doctor and he says, "Oh, cool. So you want to feel better?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure do." He's like, "Okay, well, lay down." You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna dig around in your ankle for a little while. Then I'm gonna move on up to your shoulder. Maybe I can find a nerve. Does that hurt in your back? And all right, let me open it up a little bit. Let me take a look at your spleen. Okay, right. Where's the pain coming from? I don't know what's the cause. And he just starts digging around everywhere. And I'm starting to feel uncomfortable because why the hell is he doing that? He's not really figured out what my issue is. He doesn't know what the problem is. He's just digging around and he's wasting my time. And now I'm getting nervous because he's really wasting my time and his, right? It would not build any confidence up for me. So let me go through another scenario, which what I want you guys to really consider doing this one is, Mike, let's say you're a buyer lead, right? Let's discuss this. Because you're a lead does not make you a buyer. Okay. There are a bunch of things out there that I have inquired and I have interest in that I'm not buying, right? There's a lot of yacht brokers that have me in their database. I'm not buying a yacht right now, right? But a lot of people have me in their database. There's a couple of cool cars out there too that I'm in the database. I ain't buying right now, right? Because it's a long sales cycle. And you guys know what I'm talking about because you've clicked on websites and checked out vacations and boats and cars and planes. If you haven't, you should, because that kind of formulates a primary aim. But the average buyer life cycle is 18 to 24 months from the time that somebody says, you know what, honey, why don't we think about getting a little house down in Tampa? It's near your kids, and let's go over there. I like it. Let's get a little condo on the beach. Yeah, let's see what's out there. Zip, flip, 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 click, Zillow, right? Zip, 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 flip, Trulia, flip, 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 realtor.com, flip, 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 Remax, flip, 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 Coldwell Bank, flip, 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 reach Century 21, flip, flip, flip. Oh, look at this Q1, honey. Oh, how cool. I wonder how much it is. I don't know. Let's see what it is. Click, 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 click. I've got 18 leads out. Okay. One person who's drunk in New Jersey, sipping on wine, thinking about coming down to Florida. And now I got 18 agents going, woohoo! I got a lead, right? And a lot of you paid for this lead for the drunk person in New Jersey, right? And you're like, whoa, now what do I do? So then they come down because they're coming down for their kids to check out at college. And they're like, well, let's go drive around and look at houses. And they reach out to you and they say, hey, we're coming in town from New Jersey. Think about buying a beach house. We got, and then, the ones we're looking at around 600, 700 grand. So, yeah, I'm a doctor up there in New Jersey. Okay. You're like, salivating. Like, this is awesome. Right. And they come in town and you meet them and then you cruise around and then you realize that they're like, this is interesting. You know what? I was talking to my neighbor and they said they have a place down in Siesta Key. What's that like? Perfect question, right? Beautiful question, and a question they should ask. And man, I was looking online the other day and I saw this town called Ozona and I saw these really cute houses up there. What's that like? And that, right? This is the same thing. They're buying a vacation house. Where could they buy? Anywhere in the world they want to be. So, or they want to buy a second home or even a primary residence. They can work from home. That's the world we're in now. Where can you work from home? Wherever the hell your home is, right? So now we're in a totally different environment with people that are just playing around. They're 18 to 24 months away from doing anything, and they find you. And as a reminder, you're one of 17 people that they come in contact with on average, as far as agents that they have physical back and forth communications with about the buying process of a piece of real estate. You're one of 17 of them, right? So you could just do your thing and look like the other 16 when only one wins, or you can stop, break the cycle, and own it, or not. And that's what I want to get into. Let's start about the concept for a second. So if I'm one of the 17 Mike comes in contact with, do I want to look the same as everybody else, or do I want to stand out?
You want to stand out, of course.
I don't want to stand out. So how would I stand out? I think I'd have to do something differently. So this is our suggestion from the buyer process that we suggest, is saying, Mike, I'm so glad that you reached out to me on that home. And as Craig says, what about that home made you reach out? Right? because I want to start a conversation and I want to shut up and I want to listen. What am I listening for? Forget about real estate for a second. This is people and communications business. What do I want to start? What do I want to start learning about Mike? Nick, yes, the why. I also want to learn about him and his buying processes, how he interprets data, how he appreciates communication. Is
The
he
words I
a visual?
use.
Yes, right. So let's role play that for a second. So Mike, thank you so much, Jeff Baggins, Century 21. So glad you reached out on that home on Butt Lane, right? What about what about what about that home made you guys was interesting to you? That what do you guys look for?
Well,
Tell me about the story. What's up?
for starters, the name is awesome.
Right.
No, but I really like the size of that yard, man. I have two boys who both play baseball, and our last house was a danger zone of them almost breaking a window every single day. So that yard really caught my eye, and yeah, that was the main reason. Honestly, I think that's more important than the house at this point.
Got it. So is this primary residence, second home? Like what kind of
It'll be a
what do you guys
Yeah, it'll be a primary residence. We'll probably rent out our other one. Just keep that as rental income. I think it'll actually pay for itself.
cool. Okay. All right. So pause for a second. So notice I'm not talking about real estate. Yes, it was Butt Lane. Yeah, that's right. I'm mature. um, so the yard caught his eye. Right. So let's say that's all I know right now. So that's it. So I'm gonna say, okay, hey Mike, I'm really glad we reached out. Nobody knows this marketplace really better than I do. I've been doing this for a long time, and I'd love to interview for the job to be your buyer's agent. And if that's of interest to you, I'd like to explain kind of how I run my business and see if you think that matches up with kind of what you want. Is that all right with you? Would that be all right? Should I kind of explain it to you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, cool. All right. Did I just take control over this situation? Yes, I did. I started asking control, and I bet you nobody else that he's talked to has ever done this because I want to interview for the job to be his buyer's agent, right? I think, right? Doesn't mean I want the job yet, but I'm going to interview for it because I could get offered the job and turn it down. You guys realize that's a possibility, right? So this is how I'm going to take control. So I'm going to say, all right, where are you in the process? How long you guys been? All the qualifying questions, right? But the first three, remember, I want you guys to realize this. The first three questions that are in my mind to see if I want to go down this process are these three questions. Number one, hey Mike, do you guys absolutely have to buy a home?
No.
Okay, great. What's going on in life? Why are you considering it?
Well, like I said, we have our primary residence. We have quite a bit of equity built up in that. So that was originally what caught us to start looking around. And then, the biggest thing missing from our current house is that space, and it's hard to find, in our area. And we saw that one, and we said, what, that would be the missing piece.
All right, so that's the area you're zeroed in on. That's it, right? Are there any other areas you're considering, or this is it?
No,
school districts, baseball
right,
leagues. Like, what's the attraction? What's the reason why you want to stay right there?
The schools primarily. Yeah, I mean, my kids play baseball, but we could do that from anywhere. It's really the school.
If there was the perfect home with the most amazing yard, and it was right outside the school district, but it hit every box on the planet except for that one, and you fell in love with it, and your wife fell in love with it, would that be a possibility for you guys?
I don't think so, just because I don't think we'd want to put the stress of changing schools at this point on the kids.
Okay, understood. I appreciate that completely. Guys, you see what I'm doing here? I'm asking three questions, right? Does he have to buy a home? Does he know where he wants to be? And does he have a time frame? Right. And so now I know the answers is he doesn't have to buy. He'd kind of like to have a better yard for his kids just to provide a better lifestyle. He's smart. He wants to untrap some equity and basically buy a nicer home for free, right? In essence. And he doesn't really have a time frame because he doesn't really care. He'd like to, but he's not a real buyer. So now my business mind kicks in and says, okay, is this worth my time of exploring a little bit further? Yes, right? Because what do I see? I see the fact that I'm just waving at the local cops. I see the fact that I've got a potential seller. I've got a potential buyer. And I kind of like the guy. I think I can relate to him. I've got kids. They play t-ball. Mine plays t-ball. His play baseball. I kind of
Soon
like the way
travel
the
baseball.
conversation flows. No way, dude. Baseball's stupid is my
It's
new
coming.
mantra.
It's coming.
Mike and I joke about the biggest fear in my life is that Kai ends up loving baseball, and my ass is traveling to Daytona Beach and shit on the weekends to watch him play baseball. Like, no.
It's coming.
So side note, guys, you see what I'm doing here? I'm trying to see if this makes sense, and I'm asking questions. So this is a unique one because this is not really shopping. This is hunting, right? And I appreciate this a lot more because now it's a question of it's only a big yard, only in the school district, and he's maybe thinking about doing it if everything aligns right and everything's perfect. Likely not going to happen, but it's worth exploring. And probably in my schedule, I would take a little bit of time on this one. So I'd say, Mike, what do we have to sell your home? Have you guys checked out the equity? You've probably done a little bit of research. You sound like an intelligent guy to me. You know kind of what the equity is in your home because you're talking about you might use that towards the next one. What lender are you working with right now? Do you have a friend in the business or you on some referrals or what's going on there?
Yeah, one of my better friends from high school actually works with Grow Financial, so I've talked with him, and that's how we found out kind of how much equity we have that we could tap, and then we also realized that the home could technically pay for itself by our current home by renting it. So we've really been debating, and he said we could very likely buy without having to sell. So we're kind of debating: should we hold on to it? Should we sell it? So that's been something we're going back and forth on.
Beautiful. I'll tell you what I'd love to do is validate kind of the equity move and just set a time with you that works and come over and take a look at your house. So but that's getting ahead of ourselves here. So here's how I like to run and do my business. Number one is I'd love to interview for the job. In this case, two jobs. One, to untrap and release as much equity as I can in your current home so you can move that to the next one, and then negotiate like a master and get you the best price and make a great transition for you on both properties here. So if that would be all right with you, kind of let me explain to you how that would look, and then we can decide whether or not we want to move forward. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay, good. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come take a look at your house, and I'm just going to do a quick little buzz through it, just kind of a preview in my eyes, and I'm going to ask you a couple questions about the property there. I'm going to leave you. I've got really 11 cool questions that I'm going to kind of go through with you to help me determine the value because I don't want to leave. I mean, why leave 10 or 15, 20, 30, 50 grand on the table? I'm going to squeeze every penny I can out for you. And then I'm going to go back. I'm going to do some research. I'm going to call you back with some questions. Then I'm going to come back and talk with you and your wife. What's your wife's name?
Courtney.
Courtney. I'm going to you and Courtney. I'm going to spend a little time and we're going to go through positioning and what it would look like should you sell that house, how much you really have. And then about the same time when we meet, we'll probably go meet over at that other house and do a run through, make sure it's something that you want because I know I can get it sold. Right. So we're going through that process there. I'm going to get on the phone with Brian. If you can kind of shoot me his information, we're going to be on the same team here. I want to make sure I really understand the loan program he wants to put you in here and make sure it all works out well. Look in the equity plus your loan program, plus the down payments that he's requiring, plus the condition of the home, plus the equity in yours. All of that mixes together for the best deal for you. So if you could just text me over Brian's number, then we can kind of get on the phone together and start there. So what's a good time? I could swing by tonight. I can look here. I got one opening around 4:30, or I could do tomorrow around 3. Which one's better for you?
Tonight works better. No practice tonight.
Oh, no practice. Perfect. All right. Well, then I will see you this evening, and I'm going to text you back my phone number to see in case anything comes up. And I'm going to, before I come over, I'm going to text you a quick link. Kind of shows you some of the stuff we do to market properties. What that's going to do is just save us a bunch of time when I'm there, so we can kind of just get right to the heat of the issue. Because I imagine in this competitive market, we don't want to let a house like that slip through our fingers. So we got to pounce if you guys want to pounce.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, I'll see you tonight. Thanks. Bye.
All right, sounds good. See ya.
All right, so that's a unique one that I took control. And guys, look, I'm unattached to the outcome, which is the way you need to be also in this business. Because if he doesn't want to work like this, I may not want to work with him. And that sounds tough, but as a business person, you guys need to start thinking this way completely. And if he says, I don't know, just tell me what my house was worth, or let's say he's just kind of a prick, and I'm like, you know what? I don't know if we're going to align perfectly on this one. So I wish you the best of luck in your business. Or you know what? I've got a jerk in my office. I think you guys get along with really well. Let me give you her name. Right? You can have it. You don't have to talk with everybody. Of course, you want to do your best, but you don't need to deal with people you don't want to deal with. So there's that one. So now let me change the scenario around a little bit as Mike maneuvers to Studio B.
Yeah. Trying to get inside here.
So I'll do, I'm in the park and I'll do the same thing next. All right. So now let's change the scenario a bit. And he's a buyer from out of town that's looking for not a primary residence, looking for a second home, or maybe something to retire to, or maybe buy it and maybe move into it, maybe rent the current house and maybe do this, maybe do this. It's a maybe buyer, right? Because this is what we're dealing with most of the time with right now. We wish they were all primary buyers that had to buy right now. So let's talk about this real quick. I'm going to look at a couple things while you're changing. How do you handle signing the single agent agreement? That goes through the process, Mike. When I sit down, when I go meet him and I start talking about what I do, I have during the listing process and the 11 questions that I leave behind, it talks about agency and it talks about single agency. And I'm going to make sure, and so does the video that I send over, talks about single agency, right? So I'm going to definitely build that up, guys, because it's important to be a single agent. So if he's buying a home with me and selling an agent home with me, I could still be a single agent for him on the sell side and be a single agent on the buy side. So agency is going to be very important, especially in the market right now. So I'm glad you brought that up, Mike, because if you don't play that card, you're really, really leaving an opportunity on the table for them to not use you, because that's one of the biggest reasons to hire somebody, especially in a market like this. So now we go back to the scenario. I got Mike being a buyer, maybe he's a looker, right? And lookers, mysteriously, they're very deceiving, like chameleons, because they think that they're a buyer and they turn out to not be many times. So we'll go through the process here and say, hey, Mike, thanks for calling me on Bud Lane. I want to just chat with you for a second and see, what was it about the home that was intriguing to you? Why did you guys call on that property?
All right. Sorry. Hold on. I was making that final transition there.
Cool.
No, I mean, we've been thinking about potentially buying a house down there for a while, and from the prices and everything I've seen, that one looked pretty good. So that was really why we reached out specifically on that one.
All right. What about this area? You guys from here? You have connections here? What's going on around here? Because you could really.
We vacationed down there. Yeah, we've vacationed down there a few times, and kind of fell in love with the area. But I don't think we're married necessarily to that particular area. We just really want something down in Florida that's relatively close to the beach. If we can get on the water, something on the water, that's great. But obviously, we're, with this being a second home, we won't be down there a lot. So we'd like to have something we could potentially rent out and make some money on, when we're not using it. So that was kind of the goal.
Okay. All right. So let's pause real quick. Those listening, tell me what you know about him right now, because this is important, because I'm going to ask to interview for the job in a minute. And I know I've got a visual person, right? He's been looking around. He's looking around to see what's out there. He's not married to the area. He's vacationed here. He's not going to come here much. So it's more of an investment than an emotional buy. Second home, no commitment. He likes the beach. Okay. I want the brain to start kicking in, guys, for the visual, auditory, kinesthetic, D personalities, I personalities, S personalities, C personalities. That's what really makes the big difference. So as we start, we don't know yet, but I'm starting to open up these and listen and pay attention. Okay, so let me make sure I understand what you're saying, Mike. So this is a place you guys have vacationed here. You're really looking for a second home. You're not going to be here that often, but you do like the area. You're not married to it, but if you'd like to rent it out so you can kind of cover some expenses, if not all the expenses, when you're not here, and it's close to the beach as we can get to it. Now, yep. Which beach? What is this area to you, right? From where to where?
Tampa Bay, I guess. I mean, we vacation primarily there in Reddington, Madeira, Treasure Island. We've gone up to Clearwater. Not as big of a fan of Clearwater. It's a little too commercialized, I think, at this point. But we've also gone down to Anna Maria and Longboat Key, and those areas have been nice, but we haven't spent as much time down there. So I'm not as sure
There's as much to do for the kids as we would want, but certainly open to it if we can find a good deal.
Okay. So great. All those areas are beautiful, guys. Now, I want him to keep talking, right? I'm not going to lead his decisions. I'm not going to point him in any direction. I'm going to let him talk and I'm going to listen, because right now he's covering a 75-mile stretch, right, of beach, right, which is very difficult and has a lot of nuances and requires a lot of expertise, right? And there's very difference between buying in Siesta Key and Anna Maria Island and Longboat Key and Holmes Beach and Terra Verde or St. Pete Beach or Paso Grill or Treasure Island, Sunset, right? All of these are totally different towns, totally different mayors, totally different zoning, totally different building rules, all kinds of stuff. He doesn't know what he wants. He's just browsing, Nick, right?
But to most people who are out of state, who have only vacationed here, they have no idea, right? Especially along Gulf Boulevard right there. You don't realize that like literally every couple miles, you're in a different stretch of beach with different rules, different oversight, different everything, right? Most people just say, no, that's the beach. That's Madeira. That's whatever, right? They don't realize that there's a pretty significant difference between Madeira Beach and Reddington Beach and Indian Rocks Beach and Treasure Island. And there are a lot of nuances, right? But they don't realize that. So in my mind, if I'm this caller, that's just the beach, right? And so it's your job to kind of build that expertise once you get there.
It would almost be like me saying, we're going to a global conference in Vegas, right? It's almost like me saying, I want to buy a place out in Vegas. And then I call up a Century 21 office in Vegas and I say, hey, think about buying a house in Vegas, right? Do you know how many segments of Vegas there are? Just the strip alone, North Strip, South Strip, Mid Strip, high end, low end, weeklies, monthlies, rentals, 3 months, 6 months, room service, maid service, concierge, no concierge, guards, butlers, all kinds of stuff. And depending on what you want, all of them may cash flow, all of them may not. Off the strip, how far off the strip, traffic in, traffic out, close to schools, non-schools. It could go on for slice and dice out a million different ways. And they're not wrong.
And I was in little things, right? It was this past week, I was listening to a podcast, and one of the guys on the podcast happened to be a pretty big real estate investor out in Vegas. And he was talking about how most people don't realize it, but there are parts of Vegas that are considered Las Vegas, but what the county they're in, the tax is literally a quarter of what it is if you're right on the other side of that line. It's like, so when he is looking, he's strategically looking for things that are considered Las Vegas, right? Because that's what everyone wants, but that are on this tax zone, because right across the street, you're getting literally 3 times as much tax. So like little things, right? But you wouldn't know that unless you're in it. In the same way that they don't know that there's different rental restrictions and different everything, different tax, different everything in that one little stretch of, never mind from there to Anna Maria to Longboat Key, right? And so that's where you can start to separate yourself.
So my role is not an agent yet. My job is an advisor, right? I'm a guy who's going to hold his hand and say, cool, tell you what we'll do. First of all, what I'd like to do, Mike, is I'd like to interview for the job to be your buyer's agent and represent you guys on the transaction if and when it's that time. We're not there yet, right? But I can guide you, educate you, and really show you the nuances of each town and find you the right project, the right property, the right opportunity that just looks right to you guys, right? And so I'll show you lots of things. We'll be very efficient with our showings, and we'll look at stuff. We'll share some things in my Zoom room. I'll share some screens. We can literally look at a couple hundred houses together, like in the evening online, and narrow down the pros and cons of different towns and cities and locations and drives to the airports and really what's important to tourism and where you kind of want to be, because every place is perfect. It's just one's going to be perfect for you, right? So we'll kind of go through the whole process. So let me explain to you how I run my business. First thing I want to do is, things are changing with rates and different financing abilities. I got some great possibilities, and every project's going to be different as far as what you can purchase, what kind of loan programs are usable, condo hotels, condos, home, single family. Excuse me. So are you working with a lender down here yet?
No, not yet.
All right. What I'd like to do is I work with a couple really good ones. So I'm going to show, if with your permission, I'll either share their contact or share your contact with them, and kind of, I'd like to get an intro call going with the three of us and just really introduce you. And I don't care if you end up using this guy or not. That's going to be up to him for give you the best program. But I've done a lot of business with them, and I know they're good as far as options and reach and specifically what you're looking for. So let's find out the kind of loan programs that are down. Are you selling anything in order to make this purchase? Are you shopping some equity? Are you using equity down? Do you have some? How are you buying this next
No.
property?
Yeah, we've got quite a bit of cash sitting there, so we'll probably use that, put down a pretty significant down payment. And yeah, so that's the plan. But I don't think we're gonna sell anything to do it.
Perfect. So it'd be more of a second home. Do you have a second home now, or is this just more of an investment property?
No, we don't. We have in the past, and we've flipped out of most of them, and we've never done anything specifically in that area. That was over in Orlando, and so we've
Cool.
never done anything in the Tampa area.
What did you have in Orlando, and how did that work out for you?
It worked out really well. It was over near Disney. So when my kids were little, we would vacation over there a little bit more, and now they're a little bit bigger, and so they're not quite as much into the Disney thing. And we were able, thankfully, to kind of cash out at that before the pandemic hit, which I think kind of probably crushed some of the Disney properties over there for a bit. But we got out and we made some money on it, so it worked out well, and we definitely enjoyed it while we were there. But now we want something closer to the beach.
I love it. I love it. So Disney served its purpose when the kids were a little bit younger. You got out
Yep.
perfect timing. It sounds like before things got crushed, and now it's time the kids are older, play on the beach a little bit more.
Exactly.
That lasts forever. Cool deal. Okay, excellent. All right. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna get on the phone with the lender with you, and just kind of go through some programs, and then what I'm gonna do is set a time with you and your wife. What's your wife's name again?
Courtney.
Courtney. All right. What are good times for you guys? Because here's what I want to do. We're going to jump on a Zoom call, and I'm going to go through kind of Google Earth. We're going to kind of do big picture of the marketplace, and I'm going to narrow down and kind of go up and down the coast with you. We'll talk about pros and cons from Clearwater, which I know we don't want to be in. We'll kind of start there as the northern border and just kind of work our way down through the Pinellas County beaches, down into Longboat Key and Anna Maria, and just kind of shoot you there. And then what we're going to do is narrow down. Yeah, I think I'd like to be here, right? And then wherever here ends up being, then we'll start to really micro or search down to different types of properties. And then I'll show you after we talk with the lender and he says, hey, you guys should look in this range to this range. I'll show you what's available in each of these communities, this range to this range. So you can kind of get a feeling. So I could buy this here, this here, this here, this here, this here. And then we'll talk about pros and cons of the areas. And you guys will tell me, yeah, it's probably between here and here. And then we'll narrow it down a little bit more. And then once we find time to get together, our time's gonna be super efficient. And then we'll be able to go to 3 or 4 or 5, maybe max properties, and we're going to pick one. And then I'm going to unleash my mastery on negotiations to get you the best deal that I can. Right. So if that sounds like a good plan for you, that's how I'd like to work with you. And I'd love to interview for the job to be your rep.
Sure. Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. Good deal. All right. So that sounds good. Let's go ahead and book time. What's a good time for us? Do you want your wife on the call when we talk to the mortgage lenders? You want you and me to handle it? How do you want to do that?
On the mortgage, she doesn't need to be necessarily on that call, but I know she definitely want to be on where we're kind of exploring the areas and give her input as well.
Yeah, no problem. And yeah, I definitely want her input on things because pretty much she's going to figure out, I know how this works pretty much. Happy wife, happy life. She gets to pick the property.
Exactly.
All right.
Pretty
So what's
much.
a good window? What's a good window for you and me to jump on the call with the lender? We have some time this afternoon, 3:30
Yeah,
to
I'm pretty good
5:30.
this afternoon. Yeah, I can do this afternoon or evening.
Okay, cool. And then what's the situation with your wife and your work schedule? When can we hop on a Zoom together to kind of do the big picture search?
Yeah, I mean, we're around most evenings. So just, really anything after 3:30, 4 o'clock.
Good deal. All right. So why don't we tentatively shoot for a 3:30 call with you and me and the lender, and then a 4:30 call with you, me, and Courtney, just to kind of do some high levels down. And so I imagine during the search you've spoken with some other agents along your journey, and I imagine. And
Yeah.
I'd like to kind of know, how do you feel about the way I run my business? I'd like to know if you want, from what you know now, if you think that would be a good fit, if you want to work with me.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. Most of the other agents were kind of either didn't get back to me in a timely manner, or were kind of focused on the individual property that I was calling on. Obviously, we're still interested in that, but from what I've heard from some friends down there, the market's moving pretty quick, so it's very possible that we won't even be able to pull the trigger fast enough to get that one in particular. So. Yeah, I mean, if you think you can show us some other options that are similar that can get us, something down there, then I'm definitely open to doing that.
Okay, good deal. All right. Well, I'll tell you what, as you know, this market's crazy right now, and I'm willing to commit my time for you and Courtney to find you something. All I ask back is that, once we get a little bit further down the line, you feel comfortable and confident that I'm the right agent to do this for you. I'll ask you to just make the decision to work with me. And then
Yeah.
after tonight, we'll kind of have a good feel for each other and see how we get along and see what Courtney feels. And then we'll kind of go from there. So I just want to make my intention known that I really carve out serious time for my clients. And then
Yep.
I just want to make sure that we both have that commitment going back and forth. So as long as we're good with that,
Fair
awesome.
enough.
All right. So
Time is
3:30.
valuable.
Yeah, absolutely. So 3:30 today, I will call you. How about we just jump in? I'm going to text you a link to my Zoom room, and then we'll do a face-to-face. If you can't do face-to-face, audio is fine. But at least I'll pull my loan officer in, and then we can at least start doing that high-level talk. And then you guys can go offline and talk about the details I don't really need to know anything about. And then once you're done, I'll have my marching orders from him as far as what to find you as far as the slots in the market. And then I will make sure that we find the perfect property in that range wherever the town ends up being. Fair enough?
Sounds good.
All right, 3:30 today, and then shoot Courtney a text and make sure she's good at 4:30 to jump on a Zoom with me today, and
I will.
and then we'll start doing the high level from there.
Sounds good.
Excellent. Look forward to speaking with you later on today. Thanks for the call.
You too. Thanks.
All right. So let's talk about that for a second. How did that feel from a buyer perspective from you?
It was definitely beyond what 99.9% of agents are going to do when I call on 123 Street, right? They're just not. They're going to be so focused on trying to sell me 123 Street because that's what I called on, instead of actually understanding why I called on it to begin with, right? So, and a lot of times it's not about that property. Maybe something about that caught my eye, but if we act like that's the only property on the market that's possibly going to work for me, then the second that property isn't going to work or falls through or sells or whatever the case is, then what value have you actually created? The property was the only value. And so if that disappears, then your value disappears in my mind, right? So you did a nice job of establishing that your value is far beyond that individual property. And if that ends up being the one, great. If that's not the one, we're going to find another one that is just as good of a fit. And that's, I think, super important.
Guys, 99.9% of the time, it's never the house they call on. So you notice the amount of importance I gave to that house, that property, 0, right? I want to know what's important to them because it doesn't matter to me. This is why we want you guys to focus on listings, because listings are the net, right? That attracts the fish. All right. And that's the point. That's the name of the game. They come in. If they don't want to buy this, great. I'll sell you something else. It's my job. But at least I've got the attraction. If you're sitting around with no listings, guys, it's like you're fishing on a boat with no hook in the water. It's dumb. It's a waste of time. So you've got to get inventory. You have to have inventory that attracts the buyers. Or you can go pay for fish at the fish store, which is what Zillow and Realtor.com want you to go do, right? That's fine too. But what's the joy of fishing if you went to the fish store to buy a fish, right? It's not fun. And this business is supposed to be exciting. This business is supposed to be fun and profitable. And it's an adventure. It's a journey. I don't know about you guys. I've got to send you to voicemail because I'm on a meeting. It's about just getting the whole thing. You disabled my video, Mr. Host.
I didn't.
You did. But that's all right, because I had a call came in and screwed it up. But you guys,
Yeah.
the point,
You bet.
there you go. The point is inventory is the lifeblood of this business. Period. Hands down. End of story. So if you're going to go find inventory, go find cool inventory, right? If you want to have big fish, go get a big hook. Go fish in a nice pond and go call people with nice homes. Simple end of story. If you want $1 million buyers, get your butt into Remine and search $1 million absentee owners and find out who wants to sell one of them. You want to get $2 million houses, go search the $2 million expireds and canceled, withdrawals, FSBOs, Remines, door knocks, whatever you want to do, guys. You know how to go find business, but go find it. And then once you get somebody nibbling on your hook, see if you want it, right? That's what pre-qualification is all about. When I'm asking these questions, I'm trying to figure out, I've got a bunch of stuff to do today. Do I want to pause all that stuff to spend time with Mike, right? Will Mike give me a return on my investment of time? If I believe that it is, I'm willing to spend 30 minutes on the phone with a loan officer and 30 minutes on a Zoom meeting this evening to see if that is a worth a return investment. That's my return. That's my risky capital right now is my hour. It was my 5-minute, 10-minute phone call and my Zoom meetings this afternoon. That's me pre-qualifying them to see if they fit my definition of a lead. And if I'm willing to spend time tonight and tomorrow and the next day and for the next couple of months, likely, right, to find them the right piece of property. And it may turn out that they never buy, but I'll find out as they go through the process. And do you see why would I possibly go any further than to these 2 calls tonight with the lender and then a high level Zoom? Because I'm going to find out their commitment level. I'm going to see if I want to work with them. I'm going to see the engagement with the wife. I'm going to see how excited is she. I'm going to see the family dynamics come in, especially on Zoom. And I'm going to realize, is this a better use of my time? And if it turns out that they really, really, really love St. Armand Circle and Siesta Key and Lido area, and I'm really not that good at it, I'm going to call Kat, who's the manager of the Sarasota office, or I'm going to call Ashley, say, Ashley, who's a great agent you think I should refer this to? And I'm going to call somebody down there and say, hey, I've got a great buyer lead. I'm really not that familiar with Lido and Siesta Key. Would you pay me a nice referral fee? I'll do a good turnover to you, right? And then I'm going to stay focused on my market and go get 4 listings while you run around with this guy for the next 2 months because I'm a business person.
Yep.
Fantastic. And if you don't, fantastic. At least we know now.
Yep.
All right. So what were some of the takeaways from you watching? Yes, Lauren, you need to make a connection with the person, not the property. I love it. These questions will help us discover if they're working with another agent. Yeah, you know what? And guys, they're working with another agent. Just, I could promise you, they're not going to tell you, but they're talking with other agents. That's just the way that it's working. So more important for you to stand out from the crowd and take control and say, let me interview for the job. You don't have to hire me, but at least let me tell you up front what I do. And this way you like it or you don't. Now he might have said, I don't feel comfortable talking with a loan officer right now. I'm just kind of exploring the marketplace. I don't want to get that committed. Then I have a whole different conversation, decision points in my head. And I don't know if I have the time. I know I personally don't have the time to go forward with this particular client if they're not willing to follow this business model. It doesn't mean I'm going to throw them away. I'm going to go to somebody who may not be as busy as I am right now in this particular moment of my business life that might be able to take the time and hold their hands and walk them down the process that doesn't care if it's a sale 2 years from now, right? And I know there's a lot of people who are like that, and that's not wrong. That's just perfect, right? Because you've got more time. Maybe your business plan is you're good with 3 deals this quarter or 4 deals this quarter, right? And maybe some people, maybe you need 20, 40 deals this quarter. And that doesn't make either of you better than the other one. It just talks about your business. But if you don't know what your business plan is, how do you know what kind of person to work with in your business? So that's circling back to where we started with this is too many people are not running this business like a business. They don't know what their definition of a lead is. And you're working with people who really aren't worthy of being worked with right now. with the amount of time that you're spending with them. Now let's talk about how I would engage with you if you're not ready yet. Okay, because I think this is a really valuable lesson here. So let's say he gives me some feedback about, no, well, hey man, I'm not ready to talk to lenders. We're just kind of exploring this idea, and perfect. I love that. I want to know this right now, right? And it's perfect just the way that it is. But I need to run a different path in my business on this one. Saying, awesome, I'm looking at properties in the Bahamas to do the same thing with, right? And a couple investing condos myself. It takes time, right? It takes time. And fortunately, I'm going to be here years from now as well. So whether it's a month or a year from now, I got your back. So either way, let's go through the process of kind of what it is. I'm going to set up a search for you, and it's going to be super real time. You'll get notice every time something comes on the market of every property in the price point that you're interested in, a little bit higher, a little bit lower. So you see the whole range from this whole coast and any other area you want me to include too. And then I'm going to get notified when things come up, and you're going to get notified when things come up. And then when you like something, I'm going to get notified that you like something, and then we're going to stay in touch, right? So 2 questions I have for you. So first of all, would you like for me to set that up for you?
Sure.
It's cost you nothing, no obligation, doesn't have to work with me, doesn't matter. Just going to educate you. Second thing is, when would you like for me to follow up with you? And what's your preferred method of contact? Do you want me to call you, text you, email you, DM you? And when? When do you want me to follow up?
I prefer text, and I think within the next 30 to 60 days, we'll probably have a better idea of what we're trying to do timeline wise.
Excellent. Now let me ask you a question, because that brings up a good question there. What has to happen to cause you to be ready to actually make the decision to buy something? What are you waiting for?
A few things. I mean, things are a little hectic right now at work, and for both me and my wife, right? So just trying to, I think things will start to settle down here over the next month or so. And when they do, I think we'll have a little bit more time to actually put thought to this. But this has been kind of a little bit of a dream, I think, for us, and now we're seeing it come to fruition, where it's getting closer and closer to probably being something we really want to do in reality. But we just, we haven't really been able to like sit down and look at all the details and decide yet.
Beautiful. Okay, so we got a little hectic time at work with you and your wife. The dream's becoming a little more clear reality, and so things are falling together. I'm so excited to hear that, man. I love watching things just progress. Okay, so as the dream gets a little clearer, things settle down a little bit. I'm going to text you. I'm going to set you up on a little on a search, and then I'm going to text you right now too. So something pops up somewhere, let me know. And then, by the way, are you working with the lender yet? Are you to the stage yet? You want me to? I'm going to send you over the contact for the guy locally. So when it's appropriate time for you and Courtney to get to that step, it's somebody that I trust down here. You can at least give a call to and say, hey, what kind of loan programs are going on down there? This way you could start calculating when the time comes as far as what you'll need for a down payment and what rates are looking like, because they're fluid right now. So if that's all right with you, I'll send that contact as well.
Sure.
Awesome. All right. Search is being set up. I am going to put down that I'm going to reach out to you in about 30 days, 30, 45 days from now, and just to kind of touch base and see how things are settling in for you guys.
Sounds good.
All right, man. Talk to you soon. Bye. All right. So now I'm going to probably follow up in about 15 days, but at least I have I know what he likes. He's a texter. He's got a lot of stuff going on. This is a dream. They're in the dreaming stage, but as Craig always says, right? If you ignore them in the dreaming stage, they're going to ignore you during the buying stage. So I'm going to take no pressure. I'm going to offer no friction. I'm going to make things very easy, and I'm going to be here when they're ready. And I got to be top of mind, and I want them on my search, right? I don't want them on Zillow, because when they click a button, they're going to get a phone call from another agent who might connect with them better and steal them. And I do not want that. So I want this connection point to be, I am the trusted advisor. I'm not yet. So the next one, when we get a little closer, my goal is going to set an appointment for a Zoom with him and Courtney to figure out when this is becoming real, start to narrow down the search areas and just bring value, bring value, bring value, bring value, bring value, top of mind, no friction, ease, right? If I'm the guy that has no friction, is bringing value and makes this easy and fun and connects with them and listens and repeats back their words in their buying process, why would they go anywhere else? There's no way they will. So that's the process.
Yep.
Any questions on that? Any comments from you guys watching? We got a good group here.
I've
What were
seen
your
some things
takeaways?
that I've seen some things in the chat. I just want to point this out. I think there's a lot of our agents that know what to do. They probably heard something in this that has sparked something. Oh, yeah, I should ask those questions. I should do this. I should do this. They know what to do in practice, right? But like these jerseys hanging behind me, these were all guys that learned what to do, took the reps in practice, and then executed when game time showed up, which is why all of those names are big time names, all of which, including number 25 back there, belong in the Baseball Hall of Fame. But that's another rant. But my point being is we have a lot of agents that know what to do. They know the questions they should ask. They know the process they should follow. And then game time comes and you don't execute, or worse, you don't ever play the game, right? And so we get caught in this mode of just kind of preparing and planning to do stuff, and then we actually don't take the most important step, which is actually take action and put all of that stuff you've learned, all that stuff, all the knowledge, and actually put it to work. So whatever's holding you back from actually reaching out, from actually trying to put this stuff into motion, stop it, right? Because all of that knowledge, all of the training, all the coaching, everything you have in your head, guys, if you're on our roster, you have absolutely every resource you could possibly want and need behind you, supporting you, and here for you to build as big of a business as you want to build. But at the end of the day, the only thing we cannot do is physically make you go and do it. We physically can't make you reach out to the absentee owners. We physically can't make you talk to people in your sphere. We physically can't make you do those things. So I just ask all of you that if you're questioning your business, if your business is not where, well, now a lot of you watching, yes, you're executing every day. You're doing a great job. But if you are currently sitting there watching this saying, yeah, why am I not producing where I want to produce? It is very likely because you're not actually taking the action. Something is holding you back. And it's probably the drunk monkey inside your head saying, oh, you know what, you don't need it, or what, or maybe your goals aren't clear. There's a few reasons, right? But whatever that is, you need to get over it. Go this week, start today. It's a new week, new day. Your business can start right now. It's February 7th. You got plenty of time at this point to build the year you want to have. But you got to take action. You got to go execute, because all the practice that you're doing every day is great. But if you never play the game, no one's going to know about it, right? There's a lot of major leaguers who no one will ever want their jersey hanging up on the wall. They just didn't execute in the games, right? Or never got in the game to begin with. So
That's right.
That's my last piece of advice on this. I think there's so much you can take away from what Jeff has done and all the trainings that we do, but you got to go execute.
And then one last comment to the top agents, the big performers are listening right now. This is more important for you, right? Because your time is so scarce right now. And I know how hard we're working. I know we're all exhausted. I know this is the golden year of the real estate industry and the history of the industry, and we're tired, right? And I know your phone's ringing nonstop, and I know you're getting repeat and referral business, but we can do more with less stress and less time when you really take a stand and say, no, this is how I run my business. And you honestly can so be unattached to the outcome because you got plenty of money, right? This is about building a business you enjoy, not about doing another deal. And just put that stake in the ground and say, this is how I run my business. Oh, you want to sell your house? Great. Let me interview for the job. Here's what I do. Boom, 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 and boom. You don't like it? Bye-bye, right? Hey, you want to buy a house? Awesome. Let me tell you how I run my business. Boom, 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 boom. You don't like it? Goodbye. Try to go to the top. If your knee hurts, go to the top knee surgeon. You're going to walk into his office. He's going to say, here's how it works. You're going to do this. You're going to do this. I'm going to ask you this, this, and this, and then we're going to do this. I'm going to schedule this, and this is how it's done. You don't tell him how it's going to be done. He says, this is it. You don't want it? Goodbye. I got a waiting list of people wanting to work with me. Peace out. Right? So you need to up your game, stick firm on your process, and have a fun life. right? Life is too short to be aggravated. It just is, guys. Take a stand, run your business the exact same way, every single person, and then you're going to have a life and you're going to have a lot of fun. You're going to have fun, you're going to make money, and you'll be able to do more, right? That's my message to you. And it's very, very, very critical, guys, because we're all freaking exhausted right now, right? We haven't had a break in 2 years, and we're not going to get a break this year either, likely, right? So let's just enjoy it, and let's just relax, and let's just run the process, right? All the projects and stuff I have going on, I'm a pain in the ass to deal with, right? Because if you want to see a property, you're going to have to do it the way I am going to do it. Because if you're not, then I'm not going to let you see the property. Not to be a jerk, but because I'm busy. And this is how I pre-qualify. You're not going to get in until I talk, give me a pre-qual. How are you buying with it? Let me see this stuff. I'm not taking my time unless you do this, 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 and this. And the sellers appreciate it. And the clients appreciate it. And anybody who's serious appreciates it, because that's just how we run the business, guys. Take control, sit the process, get the systems, and just follow it. That's my last word here.
Yeah, and you're not joking, because I've been trying to buy that Batcave condo for a while now, and you won't even let me sell it.
You'll sell it when you follow the process. I told you the process. We got to go through it. When the process is done, you can have it. If you don't want to wait, I don't care. Somebody else will buy it. All right. Have a wonderful day, guys.
See you. Bye.